All these things that we see in our reality as a human being, as a living entity, which we experience, but science seems to be not giving much emphasis to that, which philosophy and religion gives. So how, what is the, fundamental, what is the basis or the empirical basis that we say that we just don't study that and we only study this? What is the basis of that judgment?
We are being educated in a very restricted way.
Such a situation that human beings become humble. So, for example, we hear a lot here, life comes from life. Origin of life and consciousness is Brahman. So, we have to discuss this kind of theory with the other kind of theory. If you bring these two kind of groups together to discuss a Libet experiment from modern scientific perspective and Vedantic perspective, you may find convergent views as well as opposite views. That will be very exciting.
This reflects the conversation that we've had on the scientific basis of consciousness on Google Groups.
In an era now where the complexities of life are such that we need to be more humble and modest and understand that the sciences that we have so far erected, the reductionist sciences, are not going to go. We need something new. So we need completely new studies and a lot more humility to generate them.
So we're talking about a matter of perspective here, a perspectival shift from the material perspective to a non-material perspective. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada explained matter is the symbol of undeveloped consciousness. In other words, many people consider matter and spirit to be opposed to one another. But if we should conceive it in another way, as rather expressing degrees of consciousness. Matter is where consciousness is practically attenuated, factually attenuated, where we don't even consider consciousness. That's a stage of consciousness itself. And then as we rise above that, we recognize that we are conscious and matter is only a part, something that we perceive as matter, what we're conscious of as matter. And then we come to a plane where consciousness understands its own ground within its own self, called self-realization or self-determination. Then it comes to the spiritual platform. So if we can recognize the relationship between conscious and what it is conscious of, in different degrees of development, then we will understand what we mean by subjective evolution, and we will understand that matter and spirit are not in opposition. They're just two different degrees of the same thing of consciousness. This is the grand view that Vedas teach. And so now, trying to introduce that view in a scientific way, a real scientific way, not taking what people call science as science. For me, it sounds very unscientific to speak of, like I mentioned, Darwinian, my favorite topic. Darwinian, everybody seems to accept blindly that this is the way it happened without doubt, and if you doubt that, there's something wrong with you. We have to consider what we're talking about, whether what are we claiming to be scientific really is scientific or not. And that's what I'm looking for, that's what we're looking for. We want the real scientific facts. A science that explains what is there in our lives, not what has been handed down by so many people for whatever reasons they had for doing that. I'm sure they're all sincere, but it's possible that we are finite beings, we can make mistakes, and whole civilizations can make mistakes. And if it's possible to understand that, it's possible to open our minds, to look carefully at all the evidence, all the facts, and then you come to a different conclusion, then we should do that. Fearlessly, not courageously. And I think that will have enormous rewards. It can change you and it can change civilization for the better, I believe. And that is the vision that we have here.